More TV, Vicar. I refer, of course, to the BBC's flagship, though looking more and more like a broken-down puffer, Newsnight. Newsnight. Kirsty Wark is being played by a member of the public this evening. So's Emily Maitlis. Of what do I speak? Well, I come amongst you as the newly ordained Monsignor George Galloway from the parish of Nowhere, from the Archdiocese of Brigadoon. It's as easy as that. You get on Newsnight. As a pastor, having purchased your pastorhood on the internet, even though you're actually an actor, even though you're actually regularly appearing in very minor roles on the BBC, as an actor, you're able to get one of just 6 places in a panel on Newsnight to enunciate, pronunciate your support for Theresa May's Brexit deal. And no one will even mention that the dog collar you're wearing you purchased in a magic shop in Holborn. No one will even refer to the fact that you can sometimes be seen as an extra on EastEnders. You'll be introduced as not just a member of the public, but an ordained member of the public. And you will leave the nation open-mouthed at the things you say whilst professing the Christian faith. I refer to Pastor Lynn Hayter. How well named she is once people got to work on her Twitter feed. Here's just one of them. Not all Muslims are terrorists, but 100% of all terrorists are Muslims. She hasn't been paying attention, of course. She never heard of Anders Breivik, the man who massacred scores of children in Norway, to which I fly early tomorrow morning. I'm speaking there. That's why Breivik is in my mind at the moment. She's never heard of all these white supremacists shooting up black churches and Jewish synagogues and other places of worship. She's never heard of McVeigh in Oklahoma. She's never heard of the Las Vegas shooter who fired thousands of bullets and wounded and killed hundreds of people just last year. 100% of all terrorists, according to this pastor, are Muslim. So, hater by name, hater by nature. I'm fizzing mad, though, not at her, but at what has become of Newsnight. One long, sorry chapter after chapter of falsification. The same people that brought down The Guardian have brought down Newsnight. The editor, Ian Katz, who brought down The Guardian to the sewer where it currently resides, has brought down Newsnight too. To use a Christmassy metaphor, Newsnight's goose is cooked. It's not just that hardly anybody anymore watches it. It's not just that nobody in their right mind would think of travelling halfway across London to appear on it at 10:35 at night. It's not just that Jeremy Paxman has been replaced by people who couldn't lace his hush puppies. It's that this is what passes for flagship current affairs news nights on the BBC, which we are all compelled, on pain of imprisonment, yes, imprisonment, to pay for. Now, let me make this clear. Neither I nor Talk Radio are or could encourage you not to pay your licence fee, because that would be an offence. It would be to commission, to encourage a criminal offence. And whether or not I pay my licence fee is a matter between me and my confessor. And my confessor's in rather better standing with the Lord than Pastor Hayter and her Seeds of Wealth church that she founded herself on Facebook. But I've got to say this. if the BBC don't act now and close Newsnight down and replace it with a flagship worthy of the name and trade's description, then they are committing suicide, national suicide, on TV, but not on Newsnight. So we're taking calls and jokes and songs on Newsnight. I've seen some fantastic ones. The Vicar of Duplicity, the Vicar of Dimbleby. Maybe the pastor will be the new presenter of BBC Question Time, which frankly isn't any better than Newsnight. Though I declare an interest, as I'm now bound to do, I'm working on an alternative to BBC Question Time. More details soon. I'm flying to Norway, as I said, tomorrow, but I'm appearing at Dublin Castle. No, not that Dublin Castle. The Dublin Castle, the famous rock and roll pub, on Wednesday at the Rock and Roll Book Club. So if you want to come along and see me, do. And I'm in Nottingham at the Savoy Cinema next Saturday. Here, of course, on Friday night on the mother of all talk shows. I'll be talking in a minute to one of my collaborators in my film on the strange death of David Kelly, the author of a book by that name, Norman Baker, former Lib Dem MP, musician, singer, songwriter, and author. But tonight we're going to be going at it hammer and tongs because we're talking Brexit. And he's a I was going to say fanatic, but that might be unkind. A Europhile, whilst I am a Brexiteer. So stand by for fireworks on that. We'll be talking about the summit in Buenos Aires, now, right at this minute, under siege by hundreds of thousands of demonstrators. But they're not necessarily just demonstrating against the parade of the powerful and the rich in their capital city. For a start, there's Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who seems to have been entirely rehabilitated, even though it is now accepted wisdom, Ofcom please note, accepted wisdom, that a premeditated murder, dismemberment and dissolution in acid of a Washington Post columnist, Jamal Khashoggi, took place in the Saudi embassy in Istanbul, and that phone calls were made and recorded from the room where the dismemberment was taking place directly to the Crown Prince's office. And the CIA has said that the murder was commissioned by MBS, although Congress will not get to hear that because Trump has forbidden it. I just seen the pictures. Trump shaking hands warmly with the chainsaw man. I've just seen Vladimir Putin shaking hands warmly with the chainsaw man. I've just seen Theresa May saying she's going to deal with MBS robustly as when she took the tiny dino hand of Donald J. Trump in the Rose Garden, no doubt. Donald J. Trump is in deep, deep trouble. His own lawyer has pled guilty to misleading the law and will be sentenced shortly, and his sentence will be in direct proportion, inverse, to the goods that he has delivered on his erstwhile client. And the newspapers and magazines in the United States and the airwaves are filled with the possibility that Donald Trump Jr. might be headed for the pokey. Surely Donald Trump Sr. would have to pardon his own son, and the pardoning of his own son could trigger the beginning of impeachment proceedings. We'll be talking to Michael Graham, the American broadcaster and columnist at the Boston Herald and political editor of the New Hampshire Journal, Michael Graham, on Trump later. We'll also be talking with Piers Corbyn. Once upon a time, and I've known them so long, I remember it. Piers Corbyn was the better known of the two Corbyn brothers. In fact, Jeremy used to be described as Piers' brother. But Piers has not been eclipsed because he is the last man standing, holding the torch against global warming. He's the last man standing who doesn't believe in man-made global warming. And I give you this warning, Jeremy doesn't share his views. But Jeremy Corbyn, according to Sky News, look it up on their website, our sister station, Sky News website, headline, Jeremy Corbyn could be Prime Minister by Christmas. Ho, 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 as Santa Claus might say. Ho, 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 who'd have thunk it? Now, John McDonnell was on this station earlier. We hope to get Jeremy Corbyn himself in this chair. I hope to interview him for an hour, as my colleague Matthew Wright interviewed John McDonnell earlier today, and it was a very interesting interview. John McDonnell did very well. Matthew Wright did very well. John McDonnell, in the clip you may have heard on the news, said that every Labour MP is going to vote down Theresa May's Brexit deal. But that's not so, because in this evening's papers, one Ian Austin has declared he's voting for Theresa May, and he's appealing to his fellow Blairites to do the same. So it may turn out that John McDonnell was talking too optimistically in his interview on Talk Radio today. We'll see. But Jeremy Corbyn could be Prime Minister by Christmas. Wouldn't that be something to wake up to in your Christmas stocking?